What's up, everybody? Happy Farmers Market Week. We're doing a fun little virtual farm tour to celebrate. So this is our upper field. Almost half the field at this point is empty, and that's because most of this upper field was all of our earlier spring and early summer crops. And so now these beds have been flipped and they're starting to plant all of our fall crops into them. Plants have been producing really great this year. You can see how high they are now. We're almost getting like up to 300 or 400 pounds per harvest. And we grow the 3 different varieties. We have the striped purple, and we have the pink Italian eggplant, and then we have the classic black bell eggplant. This is our late succession of summer squash and cucumbers. We have our big main crop down in the lower field, and as they've been producing since almost mid-June, they're starting to wind down, and so this is our later succession that'll start to produce probably next week. Usually we grow all of our squash and cucumbers in landscape fabric so that it stays very weed free, and it also helps the plants stay just really highly productive and keeps the soil really warm and moist. But up here we didn't have enough landscape fabric, so we did a cool experiment where I seeded vetch, hairy vetch, which is a legume often used as a cover crop with organic farming. And so we seeded that underneath these crops in the beginning and allowed the vetch to kind of grow and kind of form like a natural ground cover of sorts underneath these plants. So if you look over here at the cucumbers, you can see all this stuff. This is the hairy vetch. We kind of press it down like this as the cucumber plants get bigger, and the cucumber plants will then crawl over the vetch, and the vetch acts as a natural weed cover. And at the same time, it's fixing nitrogen into the soil. So this is a green manure, as you would call it. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 companion planting. These are some new beds that we had just removed the tarp off of in the upper field. As you can see, you can tell there's been like the past crop residue sitting on the top, but it's almost completely decomposed. So this is our no-till method of flipping beds once they're finished. So now that they're ready to be replanted, we'll just broad fork them, we'll re-hill them so that they're raised again, and then we just plant directly into them. This I'm standing in front of here, this is a new tunnel that we put up this summer. This is called a caterpillar tunnel. So we'll basically put greenhouse plastic over the top, and we're gonna do all of our fall brassicas and bunching greens like kale and Swiss chard, collard greens. We're gonna grow those under this tunnel into the fall, and because they'll be in a tunnel, we'll close the doors during the winter, and we'll have a fully season extension bunching greens that will hopefully last us well into December and January. This is our tomato tunnel. It's a small carport that we've kind of converted into a small high tunnel, and this is another form of season extension that we do in Clifton. Just by growing these tomato plants under the cover like this, keeps the rain off of them and keeps the leaves and the plants just very healthy and disease-free. So just doing that alone allows us to have really nice cherry tomatoes all the way into November. So that brings us to the end of our market season. Alright, so this is our lower field. We have 4 field blocks down here, and this is where we do our big summer crops. We do 10 rows of tomatoes, and we do 3 varieties of heirlooms. We do the beefsteak tomatoes, and then we do 4 varieties of cherry tomatoes. And we also use these T-posts, these metal T-posts, and we basket weave them. So that's the technique of just growing 4 tomato plants in between each post, and then we wrap them in twine as they get bigger. So as you can see, they stand straight up, and it keeps them from falling on the ground, and it still gets pretty jungly. Our summer squash and cucumber field, and like I said before, they've been producing since mid-June, and their season is just starting to wind down for them. It's been a crazy year. We've had just hundreds and hundreds of pounds, and at this point we're kind of happy to see them starting to like slow the production, just because we're in this field every single day harvesting. There's still a few, they're still producing a good amount. This is one of the summer squash we grow. It's this striped summer squash. And we've grown our pickled cucumbers that we're gonna have pickles available soon. And we do slicing cucumbers, zucchini, and golden squash. So this is a good example of a field that we're about to put the tarp over. So this is where we had all of our cabbage, kale, collard greens from the spring. This had just been mowed, and then I took the tractor and just re-hilled all of the beds. So you can see there's a lot of the weeds that had been growing in the beds and some of the residue from the crops. And then we're gonna cover this whole field with tarps for about 2 weeks, and then it'll look like the upper field looks like now, where this will be fully decomposed and the beds will be totally clean and ready to plant our late fall crops down here. Alright, so this is our washing and packing zone. This is where we do all of our processing. We have these tables set up here, and all of our stuff gets washed in this big tank. We have our salad spinner here. This is all the garlic that's being cut. Have just been drying in the barn for about 2.5 weeks, and now we're clipping them and cleaning them, and we're going to store all of them inside.